We'll get started in just a couple minutes. You can keep talking. It is actually wonderful for me to watch you talking to each other as real human beings.
Hello, everyone. Just to make sure, we have a couple of names that are on our check-in list, so I wanted to check and make sure that everyone's here. Excuse me if I say your name wrong, please correct me. Is Miss Dahlia Wallace here? Dahlia Wallace? Okay. What about a Barona Hernandez? Riza, excuse me. Riza? Okay. Thank you all. Continue.
And Lilith. Lilith's on her way, right? Oh, she is. She should be. Is Lilith Jackson in the house? Okay, she's in trouble then.
Long before Shane McAnally was a hitmaker in Nashville, he was a poor kid from Texas with dreams of being a country music star. And that is when he got on the TV show Star Search.
My mom had this outfit.
Okay, I think we're going to start. We're going to start. Good morning. If you would take your seats. This is so exciting. This is a big day for us. And if the students want to spill out under these other chairs, you can. No one will be angry at you. It's all good. I'm Linda Frost, Dean of the Honors College here at UTC. And I want to, I'm going to introduce the person who's really going to welcome you. Our provost is with us today, Dr. Jerry Hale, and I'm really thrilled to be able to say that he is part of our honors community, not just as my boss, but also as an instructor in the Honors College this last semester. So Dr. Hale.
Dean Frost, thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all here. Many of you walked across the stage at commencement in McKenzie Arena over the last 5 days. If that's the case, you know what my welcome is for you today. You are honor students, and that means that probably none of you have ever purchased Cliff's Notes before. Cliff's Notes are synopses of great pieces of literature, and they teach you just enough about the great piece of literature so that you will fail a final exam if you haven't done the reading. I'm going to give you the Cliff's Notes version of what I told graduates 9 times over the last 5 days. I'm not going to try to sell any more of Mitch Albom's books for him or anything like that. But what I will tell you is that your accomplishments over the last few years, and especially your accomplishments over this last year, have been absolutely incredible. Your flexibility, your adaptability, your perseverance are all things that will serve you well going forward. My message to graduates at McKenzie Arena was twofold. The first was, make sure that you take the time to thank the people who helped you on the journey, to thank the people who helped you get where you were. And the second thing was that as well-educated members of society, you have a responsibility to do something good with what you've achieved. It's really, really important because, frankly, you are the best and the brightest at UTC. And as the best and the brightest, it comes with certain responsibilities. And one of those responsibilities is to pay it forward, to make sure that someone else has the same benefits that you had, to make sure that someone else has the same support, the same mentoring, the same assistance so that they can achieve all of the wonderful things that you've achieved. Your possibilities are unlimited, and we really hope that you will keep in touch with us and let us know what you're doing. But most of all, we want to celebrate this day with you because of everything that you've been able to accomplish. You are a truly gifted and wonderful group of students. You have enriched our campus community. We are, on the one hand, very pleased that you have reached this point, but we are also saddened by the fact that we will be losing many of you unless you're pursuing an advanced degree on campus. Let us help you as you pursue your employment pursuits or as you pursue advanced degrees. Don't stop now relying on your professors. Don't stop now relying on campus administrators. Help us help you one more time. And from the bottom of my heart, I couldn't be happier for you, and I want to wish you congratulations and best wishes for your futures.
Thank you, Dr. Hale. I want to introduce our staff quickly, or as the students call us, the Honors College admin. So when I say your name, if you would stand, that would be great. Dr. Gregory O'Day, Associate Dean of the Honors College. Ms. Sharice Williams, Assistant Director of the Honors College. Mr. Owen Foster, Director of our Innovations and Honors Program and Professor of Practice. Ms. Leslie Pusey, Director of the Office for National Scholarships. Dr. Jada Coons, Lecturer in the Honors College. And Ms. Rebecca Caldwell, Business Manager for the Honors College. You can sit down. Everyone in our office pitches in to make this event happen, but I have to give a special thank you to Leslie and Owen, who put our program together, and Greg and Rebecca, who managed many lists and made lots of arrangements. Our student assistant directors, Ms. Delali Gazeppo and Ms. Molly Martin, built a playlist for us today and an incredible plan for this event. You should see this thing, it's frightening, okay? I'm just saying. They also staffed this event and organized everything, staffed it with our student ambassadors who are helping us today. So I want to say thanks to everyone for their help today. That also includes all of those ambassadors, Mike Andrews, who's filming for us today, Kyle Askew, who's doing our sound, and Laura Cagle, who is my spiritual guide. The Honors College is focused on students, but we also are a community of staff, faculty, and community members. To honor those who have made our work either possible or at least a little easier, we give some of these very special friends Inukshuk's. I'm going to ask Jada to go ahead and pull one out as I'm explaining it to you, okay? She gets a fun test there. Inukshuk's are stone statues in the shape of people. Life-sized versions of them were used by the Inuit people as guides to help each other through the wilderness. Very nice. Inukshuk's remind us of our interdependence. As the stones support one another in the statues, we too support each other. We give these little guys out to those who have helped us in honors find our way through our wilderness, and who remind us of how much in honors we depend on our community. So I have 5 Inukshuk's that I want to give out today. The first is for Ms. Valisa Griffin. She didn't run away yet, did she? She's just really short. Valisa Griffin is the Director of Development for the College of Arts and Sciences and the Honors College, and that's a huge thing. We have not had anyone really working with us, not for us, but with us in the Office of Development, and I love working with Valisa Griffin. So, yeah, that's just a one. Also, we always, I give these to people that have helped us to build the Honors College, which is an important thing and still growing and still being realized. So I would like to give an Inukshuk to Mr. Owen Foster, who is, as I said, our first director of the Innovations and Honors Program. I hope he's the last as long as I'm here. And Dr. Jada Coons, who is our first lecturer. So give yourself an Inukshuk, Jada. She's also helping us figure out what it means to have a lecturer in the Honors College. And we don't usually do this, but my God, it's been such a weird year, hasn't it? So I want to recognize also two people who have brought life into our pretty dead office over in the Gary Center. People that through their pranks, general mischief, and tremendous love have helped keep our community with a strong beating heart. And that's Ms. Delali Gazepko and Ms. Molly Martin. They're our student assistant directors and also part of our staff. So today we honor our students who graduate from the Honors College and UTC this May and this coming August. I love you, Molly. I call them Damali. It's easier. These graduates have participated in one of two programs, either Brock Scholars, our 4-year program, or Innovations and Honors, our 2 to 3-year program that is particularly designed for transfer students, but also for students who, for whatever reason, didn't find us in their freshman year. To graduate from either program, all of our students must complete an honors thesis, either a DHON, a departmental honors thesis, or what we call a UHON, an honors college thesis, conducted outside of the student's major. Half of the honors graduates told us specifically, we asked them some information that's in the programs that you've got, but half of them told us specifically that finishing their thesis was the accomplishment of which they were the most proud here at UTC. Writing a thesis is a lot of work, and it's particularly difficult work when you have to do it during a pandemic. I want to offer a very special thanks to all of our faculty mentors. And would you guys stand, all the faculty mentors? And I'm going to ask Department Head Keenan Dungy and Dean Riggs Galasco behind me to also stand because they're filling in as mentors today. I want to thank them for spending so much time and offering so much grace this year particularly, working with these students in the way that is ultimately most meaningful to them, one-on-one. So I'm, again, very, very pleased and proud. And one more time, these guys do so much and they get like no recognition for this. This is all they get. So let's make it good. We have a small gift for all the directors, which you'll receive when you come up to the podium to medal your thesis student. We're still deciding on a verb for this, but medal is what I tend to use. I should also note that some of our directors lost their minds a little and directed at least 2, if not 3, honors theses this year. And for that dubious accomplishment, I'd like to recognize Dr. Stylianos Chatsimanolis, Dr. Davy Giles, Professor Matt Greenwell, Dr. Rick Jackson, Dr. Luis Sanchez, and Dr. Alexandra Zellin. That's a lot of work. Okay, we're almost to it. So here's how this will work. When we call the name of the graduate, both the graduate and the director will come forward, and you're going to stand on the Purple Heart that's in the middle of, I guess this is the stage. Once we've acknowledged the student with the mentor's comments that Greg and I read, and we read them really for time's sake. It would be better if the mentors could, but then we'd be here for days because they'd love to talk about you, which is great. But once we've done that, the mentor will place the student's medallion on them, and then the student will walk to the table to Leslie, wave your hand, who will give you your Honors College diploma if you earned it. You have to do at least 24 hours in honors here or elsewhere combined to receive an Honors College diploma. Then the mentor, and they will walk behind the stage and exit back to this side of to your seats. And the mentor will go to Rebecca, who's going to wave her hand, Rebecca, receive your gift, and then you can exit that side. Does that make sense? Okay, good, thank you. And as I said, we have a couple stand-in mentors, Dr. Keenan Dungy, a new department head in chemistry, and also Dr. Pam Riggs-Galasco, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and I'm grateful for them for being here too. We do need to stay masked and socially distant. I know you want to take pictures, but look at that choo-choo, man. I would get a picture with the choo-choo afterwards. That would be my pick. So it'd be, I'm not going to dictate that you keep your mask when you're up here, but I think it's a good idea. So that is all I have to say about everything. Afterwards, we do have food for you. We'll have some boxed lunches that you can pick up behind the podium. And we have lots of them. So please take them for your friends, etc. Laurel Getty. Is Laurel here? Come on, Laurel. I think Dr. Tanya Miller is with her this morning. Laurel Getty is going to do great things for buildings. She started that process in her thesis, but is going to expand her understanding of architectural design at Clemson University in the fall, pursuing her Master's of Architecture there. This summer, she'll be working for Rarden and Carroll Architects, designing, as she says, campus buildings and churches. A member of the Honors College Council, unless I'm crazy, I believe Laurel did what she could to help us make the basement in Little House on Oak Street a little more student-friendly when we were squatting there before we moved back to Gary. Laurel had two thesis mentors, Dr. Tanya Miller and Jessica Etheridge, and they had this to say about working with her. Laurel Getty's passion for healthy and sustainable environments is evident in her honors thesis project. Since construction of new buildings account for a significant percentage of energy use, material consumption, and waste production, her study argued for adaptive reuse of existing buildings as a solution. Laurel created a hypothetical adaptive reuse plan for the historic Engel Stadium. In her thesis, Laurel argues that, quote, showing that existing historic buildings can be adapted to the WELL, W-E-L-L, building standard will help pave the way for design that increases human health and prevents the spread of diseases such as COVID-19. Laurel's passion for design has shown through in her coursework and projects. She understands that good design comes from thorough research, programming, and planning. Laurel exhibits confidence with writing and expressing her ideas. She also embodies the personality traits needed to work well within a group or individually. A passionate student, Laurel is deeply committed to always producing exemplary work and engaging her audience with her vision. Laurel graduates from the Honors College as an Innovation Scholar with an Honors College diploma. Congratulations and keep in touch. Quinn Crum. Quinn Crum, who is here going to be medaled by his thesis mentor, Matt Greenwell. Quinn Crum, besides having a fabulous name, is someone who creeps into your consciousness, becomes a person you are always thrilled to run into, and with whom you hope you actually get a chance to sit down and have a long talk. Quinn's mind is always busy, even if he doesn't seem like someone who is ever rushed. I loved hearing his descriptions of a project he undertook for a seminar in walking that I taught with Dr. O'Day last year. He picked up bits of trash on walks he took around St. Elmo and built them into an organic sculpture that realized the movement and shape of the walk itself. He is so thoughtful and smart and never in a predictable way. According to Matt Greenwell, his thesis director, Quinn is the kind of student that the art department is built for. Quinn is tireless, curious, irreverent, but totally committed to his work. Maybe more importantly, Quinn has become a part of the lifeblood of the department. To imagine the UTC Department of Art without Quinn Crum is to have to imagine a whole different department. He is truly a once-in-a-generation student, and the department is better for having had him with us. Quinn's honors thesis has evolved into a kind of stream of consciousness stand-up comedy routine that interrogates, through loving satire, the well-worn tropes of design ideology. Functionality, clarity, utility, transparency, long-held truths that lie at the center of so much design theory, education, and practice are revealed as a kind of artifice, or at least a kind of subjective truth. What is function? Let's talk about utility. Clarity for who? These are the kinds of questions that push a discipline forward, questions that are all the more compelling because they come from a place of pure joy in the work of discovery. It's been a privilege to have had the opportunity to work with you, Quinn. I'd say I'll miss you, but I have a feeling we'll be finding plenty of opportunities to work together soon. Quinn graduates today as an Innovation Scholar and thankfully plans to stick around Chattanooga for a while, working with Branch Technologies and helping to bolster our art scene here. Congratulations. Lilith Jackson. Did Lilith make it? Oh, I'm yelling at her. Stephanie Swart. Stephanie is another. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you. What am I doing? Yes, go for it.
Good morning, everyone. Stephanie is among one of our graduates today who entered the Honors College as a high-achieving mock student and continued with us in our Innovations in Honors program. I myself also had the pleasure of traveling with her to London and Paris in the 2019 travel seminar, and I was especially eager to see how she, as a photography student, would approach the major field assignment, which was to recreate historic archival photos in the contemporary cities. Never one to disappoint, she did a terrific job. And indeed, just a few months later, she became the photo editor for the University Echo, our student newspaper. Her thesis director, Professor Philip Lewis, has this to say of her mature work. Stephanie Swart is a model student within the Department of Art. She carefully bridges visual arts and photojournalism, working in fine art contexts and news media, including regular assignments for UTC's Echo. Within her art studio, she has been working on formal approaches to the subject of amateurism in photography and in media art. For the past couple of years, we've experienced her unique perspectives on magicians, snapshots, toy cameras, and even Google Street View auto imagining. Her art leans into the absurd to reveal new ideas and views of what is often normal and everyday. Stephanie has been a joy to work alongside and an inspiration to her peers. It is rare to have comedy within art these days, and we welcome her digital renditions of fire hydrants towering over the city and card tricks turned into impossible video illusions. Please stay in touch, Stephanie, and know that we are always here to celebrate your success. Stephanie's immediate plans are to pursue photography in some form or fashion, she says, and she hopes eventually to be working with a print publication. Lauren Williamson. An important event in our freshman retreat is the Chautauqua, a kind of talent show come show and tell, in which new Honors College students share something of themselves with the larger group, a song, a skit, a piece of knowledge. And I remember very well when Lauren's moment came during that retreat now almost 4 years ago. She shared some beautiful handmade greeting cards she had made and very earnestly explained how important they were, as they pointed the way forward for her as a graphic designer. And she's made quite an impression since then, both in the Honors College and certainly in the Department of Art. As her thesis director, Matt Greenwell, explains, in the film, This Is Spinal Tap, the band's guitarist, Nigel, shows off his latest purchase, an amplifier that goes to 11. Why not just stop at 10 and recalibrate? The answer is simply that, well, this one goes louder, doesn't it? Lauren Williamson goes to 11. All day long, every day, Lauren is easily one of the most well-prepared, well-rehearsed, and hard-working students I've ever worked with, says Professor Greenwell. And in case that sounds like faint praise, I'll add that her work is also some of the most compelling, conceptually resolved, and ambitious work that I've seen come from our program. Lauren is a researcher at heart, and it's her nature to frame her studio work through exhaustive reading, reflection, and analysis. So not only is the work ambitious, it is refined in response to ideas. This makes her work a model for the best of what our program has to offer. And it took me too long to know Lauren well enough to appreciate her secret weapon, an impressively droll sense of humor that, when unleashed, breathes life into even her most academic studio research and provides a lens through which she's able to ask fundamental questions about human nature and experience. See the rock indeed. Lauren, your thesis project is one for the ages and will become part of the lore of the art department. It was my honor to have played some part in its conception, says Professor Greenwell, and to have worked with you as you've transformed the commonplace into the sublime. Lauren hopes to spend some time as a designer in a professional setting before perhaps attending graduate school in either graphic design or Latin American studies. Lauren Williamson.
Jadian Adams. What an amazing trip it has been, and I am with Jadian because I am her mentor. What an amazing trip it has been watching Jadian move through, in, and over UTC. I met Jay when she was just a freshman in High Achieving Mocs, but even then, a crucial year older and wiser than her peers. Jay is a leader, seemingly comfortable in her skin, confident in who she is and what she wants, and with a mind with which it is simply delightful to engage. I loved being able to be in Kenya with you for your innovation lab. Despite your true level of fluency, your French came in handy when we were bombarded by aggressive sales folk. And I was moved in our conversations about your work there. As editor-in-chief, you have gallantly led the team for Eureka, the NCHC Journal of Undergraduate Research and Creative Activity, and you worked side by side with all of us honors admin as our student assistant director. If I have ever supported you in a moment of hesitancy or difficulty, it was never more than you supported me in my moments of the same. And then I got to be your thesis director. Woo! Your writing has always been at an almost predictably sophisticated level, but your poetry, so moving, so direct, so imaginative, so craft smart. You are truly one of those students who graciously accepts the advice and criticism of your professor, but who always teaches them more than we teach you. I tried to find a line of your poetry to honor your work, but instead pulled this because it survived all revisions and because it pulses with truth. As you put it, to be a Black woman means to live each day in equal parts pain and beauty. Black women are burdened with the knowledge that each choice, from the way we speak, to the way we dress, to the way we walk, is seen as some indication of the nature of all Black women. We also know that we are the benefactors of countless others who have carried that burden with grace, and that we are invited into that stunning, unique legacy of strength and faith. You have done great honor to that legacy in your poems and your thesis reparations, in your time here at UTC, and will continue that honoring for the rest of your life. Best of luck in your pastoral internship at the Annex in Colorado and in finding a seminary that can keep up with you. Please keep in touch. I couldn't get that over her hair anyway, she told me. So. Okay, yeah, okay. Lilith Jackson. I've got to find my notes for, there she is, right here. Hi, love. I actually knew Lilith's father, Chris Jackson, long before I knew Lilith. He and I worked together at Eastern Kentucky University, and only after I started at UTC did I realize that the Jacksons were from Chattanooga. But getting to know Lilith on her own terms has been a true joy for me. Lilith is kind and supportive, very smart and practical, delightfully and energetically creative, and goofy. She is, like all art students, very dedicated to her work, and this, in her case, graphic design. But she is also incredibly and somewhat weirdly responsible. She and I liked each other right away, and it was really just amazingly good luck that I got to spend more time with her on the trip to the Galapagos Islands, where together we went through one of the most enraging travel snafus I have ever experienced. Having Lilith there made it not just bearable and memorable, but actually meaningful. Professor Becky Nasadowski, Lilith's mentor, has this to say about working with her. Lilith's thesis project pinpoints a number of enduring insights from zine subcultures that, she argues, lend themselves well to the field of design today. Implicit in her project is a critique of a design practice that prioritizes marketability and individualism, rejecting the notion that commercial design success is the only kind of success worth pursuing. Instead, Lilith skillfully extrapolates modes of working that consider and value accessibility, experimental and collaborative making, and the dissemination of content that pushes against mainstream media production. These convictions do not confine themselves to this project, but are embedded in Lilith's own work and the way she works. Her research is indicative of a character that values and prioritizes both critical incisiveness alongside an intellectual generosity that uplifts a diversity of voices, especially from those not in the room. Lilith, as you graduate and move into the professional world, I have no doubt your perspectives will be to the benefit of the design field at large. If you don't like what you see, I know you'll carve out an alternative path for yourself and others in true Riot Girl fashion. Congratulations on all of the work you have done and all of the work in all of the forms I know you will do. Lilith graduates as a Brock Scholar. I will miss her and selfishly hope that she will hang out in Chattanooga a little longer before she cuts her teeth on New York City. Congrats. Elizabeth Allen. And she's accompanied by her mentor, Dr. Davy Giles. Elizabeth Allen graduates as an innovation scholar with an honors diploma, coming to us from the Honors College at Cleveland State Community College. She has an almost perfect GPA and graduates with a BS biology pre-professional degree. Dr. David Giles from biology mentored Elizabeth and has this to say about working with her. Talk about independence. Since the fall of 2019, Elizabeth has shown incredible dedication and determination in her efforts toward earning departmental honors. I could tell she meant business when we first spoke, and when COVID hit, she persevered like no other. Fortunately, we had just enough face-to-face training for her to carry her project to fruition, often involving visits to a lab at unusual hours to perform her biological essays. Her findings contribute to our understanding of how Vibrio cholera may avoid the fish immune system with implications for potential human therapy. She always knew what to ask and when to ask in order to maintain progress, all while acing my cellular biology lecture and lab. Elizabeth presented her research at the Association of Southeastern Biologists virtual meeting and at UTC Research Dialogues this year. She has strengthened an important vein of my research and should reap the publication rewards soon. Perhaps the most memorable moment was reading her first DEHON draft, a document that was far more polished and well-written than most. I am excited to see what the future holds for Elizabeth and am honored to have been a part of her journey. Although we had far less face-to-face mentorship than usual, she has made significant impacts on my research and has even branched out to work in another lab to diversify her experience. Congratulations, Elizabeth. I know that medical school is your future once the world returns to a slightly more normal, and I hope you're able to start that career soon. Evan Bailey. And a Brock Scholar, an integrated studies major, Evan Bailey has blended two areas of academic interest into her own customized major, focusing on the biological sciences and business and entrepreneurship. But her academic work is only part of what she gained from her time at UTC and the Honors College. She has presented her work at a variety of conferences, including the Southern Regional Honors Council Conference, where she presented her thesis entitled The Effects of Urbanization on Insect Morphology, a Meta-Analysis. And she's finishing that in preparation for graduation in August. One might assume that such a project is about insects, but in fact, it constitutes an analysis of research studies about insects, using what sounded to me like a pretty challenging software platform. I know Evan was in the Galapagos Islands with one of our classes, and she agreed to speak with our Honors College Advisory Board about her experience with an internship she did with one of our alumni. Patient and calm, Evan was a natural pick for a TA with our freshman honors studies course, UHON 1000. And she was a group of 11 students who participated this year in a funded public health study about COVID vaccination and pandemic behavior, sponsored by Meharry Medical College in Nashville. I would say Evan has made excellent use of her time here at UTC. Her thesis director, Dr. Deanna Beasley, has this to say about working with her. As part of the Integrative Ecology Lab, Evan conducted a meta-analysis on the effects of urbanization of insect morphology. This was a project that developed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic that shut down campus and access to the research lab. Evan adapted a previous project so she could continue working during the shutdown. She learned new statistical skills and expanded her knowledge on understanding the role of the urban environment on organismal, I'm going to say that wrong, form and function. Evan's thesis reflects her hard work, flexibility, and dedication to seeing a project to the very end. I'm very proud of her accomplishments. Evan will be working at Erlanger East as a patient care technician while she studies for the MCAT. We wish you well. Let us know how you're doing. Riza Barahona Hernandez. I saw her sneak in. Riza Barahona is a pioneer. She was the first student to transfer from Hillsborough Community College in Tampa, Florida to UTC because she had rock climbed here. A gracious, eloquent, and deeply thoughtful student, Riza came to us clear about her love of justice and the outdoors. Riza presented different pieces of the project she did in her innovation lab with Dr. Drew Bailey at a record number of honors conferences, a project she started because she didn't understand why she was usually the only person of color she saw rock climbing. One of my favorite moments with Riza was when she spoke about her work at a UC Foundation board meeting. As the audience gawked at a terrifying picture of Riza clinging to a rock face in Patagonia, UT System President Randy Boyd, an outdoor enthusiast himself, asked her how to extend her research into Knoxville. I thought he should just hire her. I think I said that as well. Riza's thesis director, Dr. Alexandra Zellin, says this about working with her. What a treat to work with you. When Braden Sanford said he had found someone who would be a good addition to the Intersectional Sexism Workplace and Gender Lab in spring 2019, he was not wrong. You blossomed there, and I loved watching you grow in confidence and passion for not only your research topic, but helping others develop theirs as well. Once you had your plan for your thesis finalized, there was no stopping the train in forward motion. I was along for the ride and enjoyed every second of it. Your dedication to your work, your fight for justice, and your passion for what you love is inspiring. I think that my absolute favorite memory is when you tuned into our lab meeting from your phone on top of a rock because you were rock climbing. There's a theme here. You were absolutely shining with happiness. You made such an impact on not just me, but your fellow lab members as a mentor and friend. Being your advisor and research partner in crime was an honor, and I am stoked you are joining our master's program in industrial organizational psychology this fall. Congratulations from us all, Riza. Brianna Brady. And Dr. Michelle Deerdorf will be medaling Brianna. There are a lot of things to say about innovation scholar Brianna Brady, but I will let her thesis mentor, Dr. Michelle Deerdorf, say most of them. After all, she and I have tag-teamed as Brianna's recommenders for everything from graduate school to the Truman Scholarship to the UT System Harold Love Award for Service that Brianna won last year. In Dr. Deerdorf's words, One of the things I admire most about Brianna is that her research project is not merely another task on a long list of obligations. Instead, Brianna sees her departmental honors thesis as yet another step in her efforts to address questions of equity in education. This research project came out of her commitment to a local Chattanooga neighborhood that has frequently been ignored in terms of opportunities and resources. Brianna has committed hours a week to that community center for years, preceding her time at UTC. This experience gave rise to a research question, which led to her DHUN project. When Brianna realized she was going to need to learn new quantitative skills to adequately address her research question, she created a DHUN committee that would be able to mentor her through learning those skills. Her disappointment when she realized that she was going to have to rely on proxies to measure her variables spoke volumes to her commitment to this work. For Brianna, this year has been quarantines, pandemics, a tornado that took her home and left her couch surfing for months, an election season that has thrown political scientists and committed citizens into turmoil, but she persevered. Her graduate school plans are designed so that she can continue to examine these relationships between race, poverty, criminal justice, mental health, and education. Her first semester at Columbia University will include classes in quantitative analysis that will allow her to continue to test her hypotheses in increasingly sophisticated ways. It is this single-minded pursuit of understanding with a larger goal of changing policy so that we can have a more equitable nation that I admire most about Brianna. In my mind, the deepest joy of research is not in the understanding of the phenomenon. It is in the potential for positive change. It has been a deep pleasure to have worked with a student like Brianna, who understands that in her very marrow. Brianna made her mark in the Honors College most powerful for me, whether she knows it or not, by helping me figure out how to improve our Innovations in Honors program. I'm sorry it was Owen that was the solution there, but what can you do? Sorry, you always have to pick on Owen. Wherever she goes, though, I think Brianna can't help but make her mark. Good luck at Columbia, and please keep in touch. Frankie Cable. Francesca. Frankie to us. Cable. According to her thesis mentor, Dr. Alexandra Zellin, Francesca Frankie Cable was a standout student for a very specific reason: resilience. If there is a word that describes Frankie, resilient would be it. The amount of pivoting Frankie did in the face of the pandemic to complete the requirements for her thesis, and how she kept her positive outlook and excitement toward the resulting ever-changing research process, is admirable. In fact, had I encountered all of Frankie's roadblocks, I may have thrown up my hands and said a few choice words. Instead, Frankie kept going. How can I change things? How can I make this project still in alignment with my interests? This is how Frankie taught me during the completion of her thesis. Working with Frankie taught me so many things about self-care. Okay, Frankie, she says, I will try yoga, even though my flexibility is questionable, because you have convinced me it can be helpful. And self-appreciation. Her calming manner and personal strength provided a refuge not only for me, but for the entire research lab. Frankie, your work and you as a person have positively impacted so many people, and I hope you appreciate the legacy you leave behind. Thank you for being a phenomenal student, an integral part of the research lab, and our forever calming presence. Frankie graduates as a Brock Scholar with the Honors College Diploma. She plans to take the year to travel before venturing into graduate school and hopefully a career in occupational therapy. Congratulations and keep in touch. Chase Carroll. I met Chase when he joined our high-achieving Mox Living Learning community. I remember thinking that this was a highly deliberate, thorough student, one who pays tremendous attention to detail and does so to all of our benefits. I asked Chase if he would MC one of our Honors Thanksgiving events, and I loved hearing Chase's careful and cheerful commentary roll over the room as we chowed on Cracker Barrel Thanksgiving fixings. He is the consummate computer science guy, and according to his thesis mentor, Dr. David Schwab, Mr. Carroll is one of the most highly motivated students I have had the pleasure of working with. He met with me approximately 2 years ago to discuss the idea for his thesis, and I was immediately interested in working with him on his chosen topic of security fatigue. The objective of his thesis was to observe the effect of that security fatigue, to the effect that security fatigue has on students' perception of password strength. Mr. Carroll did a great job of looking at research that already existed on this topic, and then he presented his plan to add to the current field. I did not have to push him at all during the process. I simply acted as an advisor by evaluating his ideas as well as editing where needed and reviewing the drafts that he presented for each chapter of his thesis. Mr. Carroll was always ahead of schedule, meeting all deadlines well ahead of time, and submitting chapters of his work faster than I could review them and send them back to him. He is one of the most motivated students I have had the pleasure of working with. Mr. Carroll has a bright future ahead of him, and I look forward to seeing where he goes from here. Chase graduates as an Innovation Scholar with an Honors College diploma and is continuing his education here at UTC in the Cybersecurity Master's Program. He's looking for internships, so if anyone needs someone brilliant, dedicated, and gracious to help them out, Chase is definitely for hire. Congratulations and keep in touch. Chris Clark. Chris Clark is the kind of guy you really hope will wander with you when you have to go from pharmacia to pharmacia, fruitlessly searching for aloe lotion in the Galapagos Islands. That was the happy circumstance in which I found myself when I went along on a trip with Drs. Don Ford and David Plines, connected to their honors seminar on Charles Darwin and the Galapagos. Not only did Chris not mind tromping aimlessly all over the streets of Santa Cruz Island with the sweaty and tired dean, as it became increasingly apparent that people didn't use aloe lotion in the Galapagos Islands, he also became the trip's unofficial cruise director, offering himself up as a lighthearted, witty companion to everyone on that trip. I actually asked Chris to speak at an alumni luncheon later, and rather than jokes, he gave that group one of the most convincing testimonials about the power of honors humanities that I have thus far heard. But still, ask him later to sing his original tune, Dos Compañeros Más. You won't be sorry. Given his propensity for humor and comfort on the stage, it was surprising to me to discover that Chris was an accounting major, and a passionate one at that. Departmental honors theses in accounting are not ubiquitous in our program for sure, but he stuck with it. And Dr. Ann Wilkins, his mentor, has this to say about working with him. Chris Clark's thesis, could SOX, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002 be better, explores the advantages and shortfalls of Sarbanes-Oxley. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act was ratified in 2002 after a series of financial statement frauds roiled the United States stock market. Research has been mixed as to the effectiveness and efficiency of this legislation. Chris was able to propose some amendments to make SOX as effective as possible without increasing compliance cost and as cost-effective as possible without decreasing efficacy. A Brock scholar, Chris will be taking the summer off, which means he'll be studying for the CPA exam. He will start his grown-up life as an auditor at LBMC here in Chattanooga in September. Congratulations and keep in touch. Grayson Dukes. Grayson Dukes, or Gray, is the kind of Brock scholar who before the pandemic would stroll into your office, ask you very gently how you were doing, listen carefully when you answered, and then give you a big hug. He has an innately sweet nature to him. I heard he actually wrote a poem for our provost in his honors seminar this semester. But he can also raise a solid ruckus if he is put out with a conversation in a classroom. A true environmentalist, Gray is always working on someone's super eco-friendly farm while reading a complex philosophical text few would dare approach. He is an original. Dr. Hill Craddock mentored Gray's thesis and has this to say about that. Esoterica. To the casual observer, the lichens of San Salvador may seem like a rather esoteric topic, but Grayson Dukes has been able to present the results of his DHON research in a way that everyone can learn something about these fascinating, beautiful, and complex creatures. The lichens themselves are symbiotic associations of multiple different life forms, part fungus, part photosynthetic, that appear to thrive on air and sunlight alone. Gray's thesis work took him to the Bahamas, working under difficult conditions. I will spare you the details, Hill says, on his quest to discover and document lichens in a place that was almost completely unexplored from a lichenology point of view. He and his co-workers captured high-quality geo-referenced digital imagery of more than 20 unique lichen forms and published the photos and locations on iNaturalist, the online community of citizen scientists working to learn more about nature. From an advisor or thesis director's perspectives, Gray's accomplishment is special, first because it was entirely his initiative, and second because the results are already out there, being used and being built upon by other citizen scientists, making a significant contribution to our collective knowledge about the living world. Gray plans to continue on at UTC, serving as greenhouse manager for the campus and his mentor. He hopes this summer to hike part of the AT and attend at least one snake handling church service. Congrats, Gray. Lauren Gilmore. Lauren Gilmore is one of those students who just can't seem to get enough from her college education. I like those kind of students, by the way. A double major in English with a concentration in rhetoric and professional writing, and a double major in modern and classical language with a concentration in French, with courses from a study abroad she undertook. Lauren also graduates from UTC as an innovation scholar. Her mentor, Dr. Lauren Ingram, another Lauren, talks about the journey these Laurens took together in relation to her thesis. When Lauren approached me about directing her DHUN project, I was a bit hesitant. She wanted to dig deep into very controversial territory, analyzing the rhetoric of President Trump. I encouraged her to reach out to secure 2 committee members who could supplement my expertise, Dr. Jeremy Strickler from the Department of Political Science and Public Service, who specializes in the American presidency, and Dr. Rick Hunter in the English department, who could help with understanding how visual and other gestures suggest meaning. They both signed on. Once she formed her committee and got into the research, her thesis morphed dramatically from the project she first proposed in spring 2020. She and I met almost every Monday at noon over the last year to talk about her progress. In some of those meetings, she didn't have much progress to report. It reminded me of meeting with my master's thesis advisor, who scheduled weekly Friday afternoons with her in a backyard swing. She routinely provided lemonade. I didn't have new drafting every week. In fact, I was stumped hard some weeks. The only way I got through it was to have a director who recognized hiccups in work performance and offered me some grace. When Lauren slowed down, I tried to offer similar grace and a pep talk to finish up. In the end, Lauren amped up her writing and completed her thesis. I hope you all read it. It has important insights. I'm such a fan. Lauren has been accepted into UTC's Master's in Public Administration program with a concentration in nonprofit administration. She goes into her work broadly and well prepared. Congratulations. Emily Halverson. Emily Halverson is a very busy human. A double major with 2 different kinds of degrees, a Bachelor of Arts in Modern Classical Languages and Literatures with a concentration in Spanish, and a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. Emily joined us in her second year at UTC and graduates not only as an innovation scholar, but with the Honors College diploma. In the words of her thesis mentor, Dr. Kristen Black, it has been my pleasure to work with Emily as a member of my research lab for the past 2 years. Emily was an excellent contributor to the lab right from the start. I watched her grow from a skilled contributor to a key leader of our team over the course of several semesters. Emily showed the same kind of dedication to her personal thesis project as she did to our lab. Her project rivaled the work of graduate students in its complexity and impact. She chose a topic deeply important to her and to society as a whole. She studied microaggressions, which are subtle forms of discrimination targeted at various minority groups. She examined the impact of microaggressions on the health of minorities, as well as the experiences of bystanders and perpetrators of those acts. She found that microaggressions negatively affect minorities and bystanders. She presented her work at a national conference, an opportunity that few undergraduates take advantage of. The results of Emily's study will no doubt pave the way for additional research and interventions targeting microaggressions, which can hopefully contribute to a more inclusive and respectful society as a whole. I cannot wait to see the impact Emily will have through her continued scholarship and professional work. Her passion for diversity and inclusion, commitment to her work, and exceptional skills as a researcher will no doubt serve her well. It's been a pleasure to be a part of her personal and professional journey at UTC. Emily has been accepted into Vanderbilt University's master's program in medicine, health, and society, and hopes to work in the field of health psychology. Good luck, and let us know what you're up to. Olivia Hazlitt, otherwise known as Spaghetti. Spaghetti Hazlitt, and yes, there's a story about that, has been simply a magnificent citizen of the UTC Honors College. She joined Innovations in Honors as a second-year student and threw herself into our community as fully as I've seen anyone do. She served on our Honors College Council. She's helped us read applications for new students. She's helped us interview those students. And she was one of the first, if not the first, president of our relatively new Honors Ambassadors group. Second, that's what I wasn't sure about, who you see working tables today here and for whom she has been a powerful advocate. That is really what Spaghetti is, an advocate for the communities in which she finds herself, the ones she helps create, and the ones she sees as cast aside or denigrated. I know she's thrown herself into the study of English, not just education, with the same dedication and abandon that she did with honors. Her thesis mentor, Professor Dominique Heinrici, says this about working with Spaghetti. I still remember when Olivia stepped into my classroom in fall 2018, arriving early with a bright smile on her face. I was slightly but pleasantly surprised by her enthusiasm, considering it was a night class and a grammar class on top of that. But it was exactly this enthusiasm that makes her such a brilliant student. She really digs deeply into the subject matter at hand with great curiosity. I was privileged to have her again in my History of the English Language class, where her participation and insightful contributions were the fuel powering the conversation in many difficult discussions. I especially enjoyed being her DHON director. We share a passion for role-playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons. In her thesis, Olivia explored the oral narrative tradition of cooperative storytelling and the many social advantages of such an approach to collaboratively create text. After all, isn't this exactly how a student and their thesis director should work? Olivia, I am proud of you. Although I'm sad to see you leave to take your adventures to a different part of the realm, you will go far. May the dice roll ever in your favor. After graduation, Spaghetti will be pursuing her master's degree in rhetoric with a focus in digital humanities at UTC, and I have no doubt that Spaghetti will be the coolest teacher ever once she lands in that very lucky classroom. Tom Hirschberg. Tom Hirschberg is a multi-talented, humble, and incredibly nice human. It has been my complete pleasure to be his advisor in the Honors College and my joy to have his jazz band play at our past graduations. I think it's just hard for Tom to do anything without doing it extraordinarily well. A Brock Scholar, Tom met Dr. Tony Skellum, director of the UTC Sims Center, when he was looking for an internship a couple years ago. That partnership has led to some pretty great outcomes. According to Dr. Skellum, for nearly 2 years, Tom Hirschberg has been developing extensions to the message passing model of parallel programming that reflect new and extended ideas of how to enhance scalability in the exascale era. I have no idea what that means. He has prototyped complex algorithms and distributed middleware and demonstrates the viability of new ways to express topology-aware communication algorithms within the framework of the ubiquitous message passing interface standard for parallel programming. His work, now we're going to get to more personal stuff. His work, which also includes paid internships at the Los Alamos National Laboratory and related topics, offers to advance how people formulate dynamically sized parallel applications, which utilize new features of MPI-4 in the process of standardization. I anticipate, Dr. Skellum says, that Tom's work will go into the practical research software utilized in our group and at 3 Department of Energy laboratories in our ongoing research and experiences, and also motivate further extensions in the MPI-5 standard to be defined in the next 3 to 5 years. Tom's work has also enabled him to secure a highly desirable PhD admission to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, working with leaders in parallel programming and exascale. After a bit of decision-making turmoil, Tom has decided to accept the offer of the position of Computer Science Excellence Fellow at the University of Illinois at Champaign to pursue his PhD, one of the top schools in the field in the world for his area. I say it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Stay in touch, okay? And bring your sacks to our gala next year. Briley Holbrook. Briley Holbrook is a Brock Scholar, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Early Childhood, Child and Family Studies, and a minor in Criminal Justice. Briley clearly demonstrates one of the key characteristics of an honors student, particularly an honors student who graduates from the Honors College: tenacity. In the words of her thesis mentor, Dr. Bethany Womack, the first time I met Briley, I was so excited by her enthusiasm and passion for her topic involving early learners. She had a wonderful idea for a project that connected complex information and would fill huge gaps in knowledge. I lived out the role every faculty member dreads by affirming her wonderful idea and then introducing her to the world of no. As in, no, data for the question you're asking doesn't exist. No, you won't be able to create it and graduate this century. My goal was to not discourage her from doing research, but I thought that was the last time I'd get to talk to her. But I did not know Briley. She came back. She kept moving. Through COVID, through the summer, through this entire year. Sometimes movement was sitting and thinking. Sometimes movement was taking a pause out of the best interest of the study participants. She went all in, on qualitative research, from the interviews to the constant self-reflection it requires, going over and over transcripts. She just kept moving with enthusiasm. I have learned so much from Briley, not just from the research outcomes, but from the research process. Spontaneous joy is a goal for learners of the Montessori method. I will look back, Dr. Womack says, on this COVID year as the one where I learned what that means because of the joy of learning alongside Briley. Briley plans to attend UT Martin in the fall in their clinical mental health counseling program. We wish you well and hope you'll keep in touch. Hannah Holmberg. Hannah Holmberg is a rare bird at UTC, a physics major, biophysics in particular. As a result, her thesis is satisfyingly difficult to pronounce or understand. Oh gosh, and I looked this up too. Molecular dynamic simulation of the complex folding patterns of, there we go, I hope you heard that because that's all you'll get, in various concentrations of potassium chloride. I have no doubt that given time and opportunity, Hannah could easily explain what that means to all of us because one of her gifts is teaching and working with novice physicists. Dr. Luis Sanchez directed Hannah's thesis, and according to him, Hannah is one of the most effective students in the biophysics program at UT Chattanooga. She has shown dedication to her classes, research, and teaching assistant position. Hannah is a well-disciplined, industrious student who works effectively with others. She went well beyond the course requirements, the quantity and quality of her project, putting in extra research and attending office hours every week. Throughout her research project, she demonstrated her ability to work independently and to reliably ensure that the job gets done. Upon concluding her research, she presented her work at the CSAP's 2019 conference. Hannah has also been quite valuable as a teaching lab assistant in our department. She's assisted with Physics 1030, Physics 1040, as well as serving as a lab assistant for Physics 1030 lab and 2310 lab. Hannah is always willing to help students to understand the material, meeting with them as often as needed throughout each week. As a lab assistant, she shows patience and thoroughness in explaining every detail of experimental procedures. I am very proud to have mentored such an intelligent individual with so much potential, and I wish her all the best as she continues to pursue a rewarding and successful future. Hannah plans to attend East Tennessee State University to pursue a PhD in biomedical sciences. She's waiting to hear back from them. It'll be good news, I'm sure. Congratulations, Hannah. Let us know how you're doing. Alicia Lee.
Alicia has always been an eager, even hungry student. whether as a freshman in her humanities class, reading and writing with great enthusiasm, or as a biochemistry student, finding new applications and solving complex problems. In fact, her thesis director, Dr. Stephen Symes, says this: "It has been a real pleasure working with Alicia Lee on her thesis project. Alicia joined my lab in the spring of 2019, and I feel very fortunate that she did. The project Alicia worked on combines the power of gas chromatography mass spectrometry with biochemistry to determine the identity and relative abundances of metabolites in biofluids. This endeavor, referred to as metabolomics, thank you, emphasis on the wrong syllable, metabolomics, is an international collaboration with colleagues in Italy and represents a cutting-edge medical application of the high-powered analytical instrumentation within the Department of Chemistry. The ultimate goal is to use patterns of abundances to develop a screening test for endometrial cancer." Alicia is a voracious learner, and in her quest to understand all relevant aspects of her project, she spent many hours in the lab learning the analytical skills, in addition to many other hours spent devouring the relevant literature of this highly complex field. In the end, Alicia synthesized a tremendous amount of information and produced a truly outstanding honors thesis that I will continue to reference for years to come. I wish Alicia all the best and know that she will be a smash success in her future endeavors. And in fact, Alicia has a very bright future before her. She will attend medical school at UT Health Science Center beginning this fall, where she's been accepted into their 3-year medical program, completing one of her lifelong goals. Alicia. Rebecca Messer. Who will be medaled by her thesis mentor, R.J. Groh. In her time with us, first in the High Achieving MOX program and then in our Innovations in Honors program, Rebecca Messer has been among the most conscientious, detail-oriented students in my memory, always inquiring, always seeking answers, always making sure she's got it right, and then double-checking just to be sure. She's also been among the most ardent and empathetic students I've known, especially in her support of the rights of children. As her thesis director, Dr. Groh, puts it, "Becca, you have flourished into a remarkable researcher. Seeing your passion and drive is inspiring to me, and I can't wait to see what your future holds. Your work on exposing the short and long-term consequences of child internment in the United States immigrant detention centers will have a true impact. When it is published, and yes, when, not if, your work will impact not only current policy, but the theoretical implications of all childhood internment for future generations. Go off and do good things, and congratulations on this wonderful achievement." And indeed, Rebecca hopes to continue this work either in a graduate program. She's applied to the Network on Humanitarian Action Master's Program, which is an Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Degree Program in International Humanitarian Action, or whether she might be working for a nonprofit focused on disaster relief and or child crisis assistance. In whatever setting, Rebecca is sure to be among the most thoughtful, dedicated, and tireless advocates for the rights and well-being of children, and indeed for all of those who cannot so easily stand up for themselves. Rebecca Messer. Jessie Moore. Like a number of our graduates today, Jessie Moore began her time in the Honors College in our freshman High Achieving MOX program, and immediately took a leadership role on the Stagmeyer Hall Residential Council. She continued in the college in the Innovations in Honors program, where she did fascinating research with Dr. Drew Bailey's Innovation Lab, studying how outdoor settings improve student study performance. This research led to her fine thesis work under the direction of Dr. Jody Caskey, who will medal her, in our biology department. Dr. Caskey says, "Jessie is an incredible young woman with vast potential. For the past 2 years, she's been researching the effects of one's environment on mental restoration. She used mental and physiological assessments to determine the effects of exposure to a natural environment on participants. Jessie found that participants exposed to natural environments had higher measures of relaxation and stronger performance on mental assessments. These findings are important not just for students trying to decide the best place to relax or study, but for campus and community planners trying to create effective spaces for its members. Jessie faced challenges and changes in her initial project with the onset of COVID-19, and she handled the adversity like a champ. She wasn't able to do everything she wanted to do with this project, but she was able to adapt her experiment without weakening her argument. I congratulate her on her achievements and admire her determination and work ethic. I know you will achieve great things and represent UTC well. Jessie is currently applying to physician's assistant programs, one of which she plans to enter next year. She's given us a lot, but as she notes, she considers it her greatest accomplishment at UTC to have taken advantage of all the Honors College offered: paid research fellowships, international travel, competitive research presentations, community engagement projects, and relationships with friends and academic mentors. Sophia Neglia. And Dr. Keenan Dungy, who will be medaling Sophia. I'm especially pleased to have Sophia Neglia here today. She was a student of mine and Linda's in the honor seminar we co-taught last spring on walking. Now, Sophia is an exceptional athlete, a runner, in fact, and so she had to slow her roll a bit for that course. Especially when we got out onto the Appalachian Trail over spring break just as COVID was hitting and the lockdowns were beginning. It might surprise some of you, I think it even surprised Sophia, to learn that while she is an accomplished chemist, she's also a very fine writer, even creative writing, with a sure ear for rhythms that she may have picked up from her road running. But it is as a chemist that she really made her name at UTC. Her thesis director, John Lee, has this to say about her. Sophia, it is almost 2 years since you started a brand new research project in my laboratory. This resulted in a presentation that you gave at a regional conference, a publication that you co-authored, and key results in a funded external proposal. You learned to say that synthetic chemistry is tough as an understatement, as you spent a large portion of your time chasing one compound. You can find solace in that if it were easy, it would already have been done. In addition to your laboratory experience, the experience of seeing experiments not work will serve you equally well as you head to graduate school. The perseverance that you showed is an unspoken mental requirement when pursuing an advanced degree in the sciences. Your work and work ethic had a positive impact on the other students in the group. Congratulations on your degree, thesis, and all that you've achieved at UTC. Next fall, Sophia will enroll in the doctoral program in biochemistry at the University of Delaware. Alexandra Palladian. And Dr. Luis Sanchez Diaz. Alexandra is a crosser of borders and boundaries. She's graduating from the UTC Honors College as an innovation scholar after transferring to UTC from Chattanooga State Community College's Global Scholars Honors Program, and she truly is a global scholar. Before entering Chat State, she made her way to the U.S. from her native Ukraine. While she is a biology major and a chemistry minor, Alexandra's research has been quite interdisciplinary across the natural sciences, and indeed, her thesis director, Dr. Luis Sanchez Diaz, is a lecturer in physics. He tells us, Alexandra has shown great promise in the study of a broad range of topics in physics. Through her interaction with both faculty and peers, she has demonstrated exceptional communication and organizational skills. Throughout her time here at UT Chattanooga, Alexandra has shown her ability to quickly pick up on even advanced topics, such as the coding of molecular dynamics simulations and the study of protein folding. She works diligently and thoroughly. I'm very proud to have mentored such an intelligent individual with so much potential, and I wish you success in your future endeavors. Congratulations. Alexandra's future endeavors are pretty clear and certainly ambitious. In the fall, she will cross borders again to begin her medical studies at St. George's University School of Medicine in Grenada, West Indies, and then return to the United States to begin clinical rotations, hoping to begin a residency in dermatology before long, and ultimately to open her own dermatological practice. Jay Patel. Jay Patel is another wonderful student we were fortunate enough to have join our Honors College after he completed an associate's degree with honors as a global scholar at Chattanooga State. As an innovation scholar at UTC, Jay worked in one of Cecilia Weigel's Innovation Lab groups, helping to sow the seeds for a gardening club at the university as an alternative source of healthy food, and also as a means by which students could gain knowledge about how food is grown and distributed in communities. Jay's thoughtful contributions to this project came as no surprise. He is by nature a contemplative sort, I think, but he truly came into his own as a computer scientist at UTC. Dr. Hong Chin, who directed Jay's honors thesis in computer science, has this to say. I've known Jay Patel since he took my software design and development class in 2018, and he later joined my research group to pursue an honors thesis project in the application of deep learning for biomedical image analysis. He curated training data and applied a state-of-the-art deep learning method to detect cell objects from microscopic images. Impressively, he conducted his research project at a graduate student level. During this period, I learned that Jay helped his parents with their family business during the weekend, worked another job during the day, and then attended classes at UTC. I often met with Jay to discuss his research project after hours. He is intelligent, hardworking, highly motivated. It has been a privilege to work with him, and I wish Jay great success in his future endeavors. In the immediate future, Jay hopes to find employment as a computer scientist, again, if you're hiring, and eventually to go on to earn a master's degree in that field. Jay Patel. Akbar Rahmani. Akbar is finishing a top-notch undergraduate career as a political scientist. As an innovation scholar in UTC's Honors College, he came to us as a transfer student after earning his associate's degree from Cumberland University in Lebanon, Tennessee. And I have to say, he has positively thrived here in Chattanooga. All morning, you've been hearing comments from thesis directors about their students. In Akbar's case, his entire thesis committee wanted to weigh in and sing his praises. So we'll start with Dr. Saeed Golkar, who says, Akbar was a student in my religion and politics course last year, so I've known him for some time. I'm very impressed with his performance. Akbar proved to be very hardworking and invested in the class material, and he was always ready to answer questions and participate in the discussions. He exceeded my expectations and has gone beyond what was asked of him. I know he has a bright future if he continues working hard. Dr. Diana Sweet says, it's been a pleasure to get to know Akbar. Taking on a thesis and persevering throughout the pandemic shows a great deal of motivation, resilience, and maturity. More than that, Akbar is just the kind of student we all enjoy working with. He has a great deal of integrity, intellectual curiosity, and constantly strives to improve. Even on Zoom, I knew we would have a productive conversation and share many a laugh as well. Akbar is going places, and it's been a real privilege to work with him. And finally, his thesis director, Dr. Irina Kamelko, has this to say. I remember the first time I met Akbar in person and how focused he was on his research interests, and yet open to discussing options and ways to pursue those interests. What stands out to me is his incredibly high level of curiosity, coupled with his patience to explore the most challenging intellectual issues in this world. I have no doubt that the sky is the limit for Akbar. Akbar was recently accepted to the University of Indiana Bloomington's O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs and UTC's Masters of Public Administration program. He plans to attend University of Indiana Bloomington, where he will get his degree in either international affairs or public affairs. Abby Reese. And Dr. Laurel Ryan. Abby and I like to joke about the time when we first met, when I interviewed her as a prospective Brock Scholar. She was sure she bombed the interview, sounding stupid or close-minded or just not good enough in some way. In contrast, I felt I'd just met a very determined and focused young woman who was going to achieve any goal she set for herself. Of the two of us, I think I was right. Over the past 5 years, Abby has proven to be among the most capable, reliable, and plain delightful members of our honors community. No one lights up a room the way she does, or dances at our alumni galas with the energy that she brings. Okay, maybe her partner in crime, Jonas Stokes, we'll get to him later. But she's also a very serious and powerful scholar. A pre-professional biology major with her eye on medical school, Abby took the unusual step of asking a faculty member in nursing, Laurel Ryan, to direct her thesis because she wanted it to have a definite medical focus. And here's what Professor Ryan has to say. I've come to know Abby as a passionate, committed, and intelligent student. Her appreciation of inquiry was evident from day one, and she is tenacious. Her original thesis director sought employment elsewhere and left Abby without a clear path forward. With tremendous perseverance, she turned that situation around. Abby's thesis has its roots in biology, yet reaches to clinical application. Her interest in breast cancer and cardiac complications that can arise due to chemotherapy, her keen interest in biomarkers coupled with the prospect of utilizing big data for predictive modeling led to her thesis work. This isn't easily done. Currently, none of the cancer data registries collect cardiac biomarkers despite the significant incidence of cardiac complications. Through her extensive research, she was able to identify which of the many biomarkers and data points would be most beneficial from a predictive standpoint to add to the databases. If adopted, this would establish the groundwork for future predictive modeling in this population, potentially leading to alternative treatment options, averting negative outcomes, and optimizing patients' lives. Powerful work indeed, Abby. In the short term, Abby is applying to medical schools and hopes eventually to practice medicine in an underserved community. Abby Reese. Claire Redeker. Like many of our graduates today, Claire began her undergraduate career and her honors college career as a high-achieving mock, and then continued in our Innovations in Honors program. She's also an ardent vegetarian, and so it seemed natural that her honors thesis would not only reflect that interest, but would ask challenging questions about what she calls, quote, the practice of environmental activism by means of dietary action. Her study seeks to understand the correlation between UTC student attitudes toward the outdoors and the environment on one hand, and their dietary choices, vegetarian and otherwise, on the other hand. But Claire's thesis director, Professor Sarah Farnsley, was at least as impressed by Claire's character and persistence as she was with the research findings themselves. She says, I've really enjoyed getting to know Claire over the time we've worked together. She's come up against challenges in her project that she has subsequently overcome with a dedicated and determined nature. I admire that she has stayed true to her beliefs throughout the process, and she has handled any obstacles with grace. Claire is a wonderful student, but above all, she is an amazing person. She has been a pleasure to work with, both in class and in regard to her thesis. And Professor Farnsley is right. Claire is a delightful person, determined, resilient, and destined to great things. To start with, she plans to move to Atlanta to volunteer with the Shepherd Center before applying to graduate programs in order to become a physician's assistant. So, Claire Redeker. Kaylon Sharina. And Dr. Stuart Banker. Kaylon is one of the December 2020 graduates we're honoring today, and is unique among our graduates in any number of respects. I don't think she's completely unique in this first point, but she's married, for one thing, which is at least unusual, and the mother of a delightful toddler named Rose, and soon to be mother of another, no doubt, delightful infant, very, very soon. She was also a student in the interdisciplinary walking course that Linda and I taught last spring, and her husband and daughter Rose joined us on our class spring break excursion to the Appalachian Trail. Her trail name, of course, was Madonna. And it was during that trip, I believe, that Rose took her first steps. Appropriate, I think, for a course on the idea of walking. Kaylon is also an astute businesswoman, and in her typical offbeat but certainly pragmatic fashion, her thesis decided to develop a plan for her thesis, she decided to develop a plan for starting a residential real estate business. And who should be the director of such a thesis? Why, none other than Dr. Stuart Bankert, the head of our School of Performing Arts. Makes perfect sense. But as Dr. Bankert explains, I was thrilled to be asked to supervise Kaylon's thesis because I knew her to be a vibrant, energetic, and intellectually curious person. In the songwriting honor seminar I taught, I'd learned that Kaylon recognized no boundaries and viewed no obstacle as insurmountable. Therefore, I knew little about her thesis subject, but I endeavored to, quote, be like Kaylon and embrace the opportunity. And it was an opportunity for me as much as her because I learned and I grew. Kaylon is also focused and likes to leverage her work, and so it should be no surprise that her project was something related to what she wanted to do in her life, which was manage and invest in real estate through the acquisition and improvement of inexpensive homes. The object is not to create wealth, but to create the opportunity for others to live in affordable housing that was ethically managed. I believe in and share her goals, Dr. Bankert says. Further, I am so impressed with Kaylon and her work that I've often thought of investing some of my own funds in her projects. I am confident that she will make a difference in the lives of those who are searching to provide a home and stability for their families. Kaylon plans to continue this work as she raises her family. David Smith. And Dr. Davy Giles. I've had the pleasure of traveling to London and Paris with David on our last May travel seminar way back in 2019, and was deeply impressed by the work he did in our class, and even more by his enthusiasm and his experience-seeking travel ethics. But then David seemed to impress people pretty regularly. Here's what his thesis director, Dr. Giles, calls working with David a most unusual and memorable thesis experience. He says, 2 years ago, David chose my laboratory over multiple external offers for National Science Foundation research experiences for undergraduates. After choosing the summer REU program sponsored by UTC's Undergraduate Research Office, David and I quickly assembled a research project that gave him exposure to a large variety of techniques and now constitutes a complete story ready for manuscript preparation and publication. He examined 2 Vibrio species and their ability to respond to environmental fatty acids. As David would attest, it is amazing what you can accomplish in 8 weeks. David got a huge head start on his thesis research, and Dr. Giles' words, not mine, coasted the rest of the way, but not without some significant accolades. David was awarded a first-generation support award and the prestigious Lafayette Frederick Underrepresented Minorities Scholarship Award from the Association of Southeastern Biologists in 2020. Although the meeting was canceled, he was able to present his research last month at the virtual conference and created quite a buzz when he was offered a spot in graduate school during the Q&A. Yeah. COVID-19 also derailed David's opportunity to participate in an international REU program in Spain. Few paths can be met with as much perseverance as displayed by David. Losing his father in high school and his mother while a freshman at UTC, David has overcome adversity and matured into a selfless young man who has contributed to our community in countless ways. As a resident assistant, as a worker in the library, as a leader for Brother to Brother, an African American men's support group for those facing challenges in college life, just to name a few. Still Dr. Giles speaking, I've witnessed his strong work ethic, his valuable friendship to others, and his classroom and laboratory successes. I could not be prouder to congratulate David on his distinguished college career. After conducting research in Cadiz, Spain this summer, David will begin a master's program in biochemistry at North Carolina State and then plans to enter medical school. David Smith. Elise Steele. And her mentor, Professor Chris Wharton. Elise is graduating from the Honors College as an innovation scholar, having joined us in her freshman year as a high-achieving mock. And so her thesis director, Professor Christine Wharton, has known Elise pretty much since her first day at UTC, having taught Elise in the HAM program for that first semester. Professor Wharton says, I've had the rare pleasure of working with Elise throughout her time at UTC. As an incoming freshman, she was in my Western Humanities class, and while she didn't speak often in class, her comments when she did speak were often centered on the less central but intrinsic interesting moments of the texts. When she took my Intro to Creative Writing class 2 years later, I learned she was not only a fine essay writer, but also a talented storyteller in all the genres we worked in. I didn't expect to work with Elise again, and so I was honored when she approached me last year about directing her thesis. Over these last many months, I never knew what Elise would share with me as she worked on her thesis, a poem with a detached narrator or simply a deeply personal one. But I also knew she would offer a glimpse of the woman who resides behind her calm demeanor. After many conversations and sharing her work, I'm so proud of what Elise has created. Her exploration of source texts was insightful, and her poems poignant and surprising. Thank you, Elise, for your willingness over the years, and especially in your thesis work, to go deep into yourself to learn. And thank you for sharing what you found there. Elise plans to take some well-deserved time away from school, living and working here in Chattanooga, but is confident she'll return for further study of literature and writing at some point, and we hope she'll let us know where she goes from here. Sarah Emily Still. Sarah Emily is another high-achieving Mock alum who wisely chose to continue her honors undergraduate experience through the Innovations in Honors program, and indeed, she is graduating as an innovation scholar. I don't know what it is, but whenever I encounter Sarah, I always get the sense she's up to something. It's that amused twinkle in her eye or that ironic smile that you can't quite see right now, but it's there, I'm sure. But apparently what she's been up to is some pretty outstanding research. Her thesis director, Dr. Courtney Crittenden of our Department of Social, Cultural, and Justice Studies, tells us that Sarah Emily has worked tirelessly to complete her thesis, and that hard work shines through. The passion and drive that she's shown throughout this project has been amazing. Her work on exonerated individuals is timely and relevant. In her thesis, Sarah examined the individual and offense characteristics of folks who had been falsely convicted of a crime. Using data from the National Registry of Exonerations, Sarah examined how factors such as race and sex impacted the amount of time an individual was incarcerated, or the type of offense they were incarcerated for, and she found some interesting patterns. It was a wonderful experience getting to explore these issues and watching Sarah grow as a writer and as a researcher. I have no doubt that she will achieve great things in her life, and I am honored to have played a small role in her education at UTC. Congratulations, Sarah Emily, you are awesome. And no doubt, as an outgrowth of that important research, Emily is currently planning to attend law school and to positively impact other people's lives. Jonah Stokes. So when I was introducing Abby Reese, I promised I'd say something about her partner in crime, Jonah Stokes, who, if not universally known among current Honors College students, is certainly legendary among our alumni as a kind of unofficial MC and cheer captain at our annual alumni galas. His positivity, his great good humor, his wit are simply endearing. And even to his cynical and sarcastic thesis director, Dr. Rick Jackson. There's laughter at the back. They know what that means. Dr. Jackson says, "Who is this enthusiastic, always smiling guy?" I wondered when I first met Jonah through another student before our creative writing trip to Slovenia in 2018. And then on that trip, says Dr. Jackson, I was impressed by his writing and the sense of wonder and inquisitiveness he brought to the group. He had, and still has, an amazing imagination and an energy to go with it. Jonah later took a special tutorial course with me reading Wordsworth's The Prelude, where he revealed a rare depth of thought and then naturally continued on in poetry workshops. He participated in another trip in 2019 to Iceland, where he further improved, and that led to his thesis. In the introduction to his thesis, Jonah writes, "My inspiration and love for writing poetry are not only seen in the poetic form. I find myself seeing images and poetic language in all forms of writing." In his essay entitled The American Scholar, Ralph Waldo Emerson states the following powerful message: "This is my music. This is myself." In other words, says Dr. Jackson, Jonah sees himself almost as a poem, absorbing what is around him with the enthusiasm I've witnessed from the start. One of the things I miss during this COVID mess is Jonah's physical presence, which always brightens my day. But at least I have the thesis and his remarkably revealing poems. He writes in that thesis that they are, quote, "a reclamation of myself. They are a vast collection of my experiences. They are my music, and therefore myself." A self, I should say, that has added an irreplaceable self and vision to this world. This fall, Jonah will begin the Master's in Fine Arts and Creative Writing program at the University of West Virginia, where he's also been awarded a teaching assistantship. Jonah Stokes. Corey Tinkham. and her thesis director, Dr. Zibin Guo. I've been deeply impressed by Corey Tinkham pretty much since I first met her as a freshman Brock Scholar. The moment I most recall is when I was leading a humanities seminar for prospective students, and Corey sat in on the session as one of the experienced first-year students. The careful, quiet authority with which she helped guide the nervous applicants in their discussion was striking to me, as was her intuitive sense of when to speak and when to listen. This is a great gift, and I've admired Corey's instincts ever since, and I'm not the only one. Dr. Zibin Guo says of her thesis work in anthropology, Corey's thesis explores the long and hard journey of people with a rare and inherited disorder fighting for their own social identity in an African region. While I was reading through the final draft of her thesis, I could not help but reflect on Corey's own journey in understanding the struggles of others while trying to overcome her own. I will never forget the conversation I had with Corey shortly after she and her family experienced an unexpected and tragic event in the midst of COVID-19 last summer. To comfort her, I suggested the option of delaying the completion of her thesis so that she would have more time to work through her thoughts and plans. But she replied in a calm and determined voice, "Thanks, no. I'm going to finish the thesis according to the plan." At that moment, says Dr. Guo, I felt a sense of inspiration and admiration. On the occasion of this celebration, I would like to offer my hearty congratulations to Corey. What you have achieved is not only a superbly written honors thesis, but also the demonstration of what you're made of and your ability and determination to overcome and transform. Confucius says, "Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." Go, Corey. Corey's plans to spend the summer working with AmeriCorps and the Southeast Conservation Corps, after which she plans to study for the GRE and the LSAT and decide whether to pursue law school or graduate work in anthropology. Mackenzie Wall. And God bless him, Luis Sanchez Diaz. He's climbed these steps a few times today. Mackenzie is a groundbreaking student in a lot of respects. Notably, she is a first-generation college student, and so as a Brock Scholar, she's paved the way for her family in higher education, and indeed her younger sister, Michaela, is a freshman Brock Scholar now. And she's broken ground as a scientist, too. For example, in helping Dr. Jared Piankos in our chemistry department to synthesize a crystal structure of methane molecules that had never been created before. Her thesis director, Dr. Luis Sanchez Diaz, recalls that Mackenzie showed great promise in the physics labs I teach at UT Chattanooga, where we study the basic principles of mechanics, waves, sound, and thermodynamics. Mackenzie was accepted into a summer undergraduate research program where I mentored her as she conducted research in biophysics. Through her project, she investigated the viscosity of non-Newtonian liquids using Brownian simulation. Mackenzie was a quick learner and swiftly picked up on the coding of Brownian dynamics simulations. Throughout the summer research project, she demonstrated her ability to work independently and to reliably ensure that the job gets done. Upon concluding her research, she presented her work at the SASAPS 2019 conference. Mackenzie is an outstanding student in all respects. She is perceptive, sharp, and possesses a high aptitude for math and science. I have no doubt she will succeed in her endeavors. And what those endeavors may be is still to be decided, but Mackenzie has a lot of opportunities before her. She's applied to the Quillen College of Medicine at East Tennessee State University, the University of Tennessee Health Science Center College of Medicine, and to the Morehouse Master of Science in Medical Sciences program. Her plan is to be on her way toward becoming a primary care physician, an obstetrician gynecologist, or an orthopedic surgeon. Mackenzie Wall. Did Dahlia Wallace ever arrive? Okay. Jessica Wicker. And Dr. Marcus Malden, who will be medaling her. Jessica came to the Honors College as a high-achieving mock student, and we're very glad she decided to continue in the college via the Innovations in Honors program. Her compassion and concern for those that society might leave behind and for the wonders of the natural world brought a lot to her innovation lab, and indeed steered her toward a very meaningful thesis topic. Her thesis director, Dr. Marcus Malden of our Political Science and Public Service Department, says, Jessica's thesis on displacement and gentrification in Chattanooga resulting from revitalization and renewal reflects both her academic and service interests as well as her professional aspirations. Jessica engaged in an extremely challenging project, and in doing so challenged me and my patience at times. This work was inspired by her own observations and concerns about the community around her. When she approached me about working with her, my initial response was excitement, followed by cautious optimism. From my own research and teaching, I know that trying to make sense out of a concept such as gentrification can be a daunting and complex task. Nonetheless, Jessica accepted the challenge with grace and a desire to learn as much as she could, not only about the subject matter, but about the research process. Over the year or so of working with her, Jessica persevered given numerous philosophical, analytic, and methodological roadblocks that would arise. I was pleased with her openness to criticism and new ideas, including those that would take her off of her intended path. Jessica worked diligently on data collection, and she allowed the data and research to drive her project rather than relying on preconceived notions about gentrification. In doing so, she was willing to learn new analytic skills in order better to perform her work. I'm grateful for the opportunity she afforded me to work with her. She will be an asset for those who she works for and to those that she serves. I wish her the best as she continues to impact the world. In the short term, Jessica's impact will be felt by AmeriCorps Vista for a year, working in the U.S. Forestry Service, helping to build volunteer capacity and partnerships for the Cherokee National Forest. After AmeriCorps, she plans to attend graduate school and then to continue working with the Forest Service or with our National Park Service. Jessica Wicker. Brianna Williams. Brianna seems like a pleasant, happy, well-adjusted person. Seems like it. She really does. But under that veneer of optimism and positivity lurks a heart of darkness and depravity, or at least an interest in such things. Her thesis director, Dr. Michael Janes of our English department, explains, Brianna Williams appeared in my honors horror fiction seminar brimming with inherent interest in the subject. She seemed to enjoy most all of the material, especially the human skull I bring to class for certain special sessions to discuss the memento mori. Not that any of us need any reminding of death these days. So when she approached me about sharing her thesis, I thought about it for a good long weekend. I decided to take it on, and I'm nothing but glad I did. Brianna, perhaps inspired by said memento mori, decided it was a good idea to research horror fiction during a terrible time of pandemic. She specifically wanted to explore how existential fears intertwine throughout horror and weird fiction in the year 2020. I do remember warning her of the dread hopelessness ahead if she chose that path, but she was adamant. She would pursue her thesis and examine her own existential dread during the unprecedented plague year. In sum, I recall our many conversations in my office, on the phone, and later via Zoom as intellectually stimulating and often surprising. It was refreshing to travel various halls of horror with such a bright young person. It was a real treat to work with students such as Brianna who were smart, curious, and have so much time ahead of them to go out into the world and wrestle success from the thresher of life. I know what it is that she will do because in fact she already has. What's next for Brianna? Well, she plans to continue working with the local newsletter, Nuka Today, which is a surprisingly peppy publication, along with a smaller internship within the same company's branded content studio, and eventually she hopes to become a full-time editor. And given the topic of her thesis, it's very fitting that Brianna tells us, "I'm proud of accomplishing everything that I was once afraid of." Brianna Williams. Last, but surely not least, Emily Wilson. And Dr. Joy Lynn, who will medley Emily. Emily is that rare student who seems at home working in nearly any academic discipline, and across disciplines as well. Having had her as a student in an honors college seminar on the impacts of artificial intelligence, I can tell you she's a great writer, a committed researcher, a careful analyst, and a deep thinker, which means she can do pretty much anything. Her thesis director, Dr. Joy Lynn, in our marketing and entrepreneurship department, has this to say of Emily. When I said yes to advising Emily's thesis last summer, I was just trying to help out the department. Little did I know this ball of energy could bring such excitement during this difficult year. One of the greatest pleasures of working with Emily is how teachable she is. When I pushed back her idea and directed her to go back to the drawing board, she accepted the challenge and came back ready to discuss other possibilities she found in the literature. This positive interaction enabled us to turn her initial spark from tobacco ads into a topic that could potentially influence future e-cigarette policies and prevention campaigns. Also, her dedication made it possible to fit the ridiculous amount of work into 8 months. She was even coding data during Christmas week. If you wonder about the quality of her work, her thesis was praised by our most prolific colleagues as the best honors thesis they've ever seen. "I'm not done yet," says Dr. Lynn. There's still icing on the cake. With this thesis project, Emily entered the undergraduate research competition of the largest international collegial conference in the marketing field in early April. And she received 4th place overall, competing against Ivy League schools. So, what more could I say to a young talent that could already do it all? Emily, I only want to leave you with this. They say the world is your playground, so regardless of what you do, don't ever stop having fun. Emily's been accepted to master's programs in marketing at both the University of Cincinnati and the University of Alabama. After finishing her degree, she plans to work in a marketing agency setting and hopes to teach college classes in marketing eventually. So, Emily Wilson.
I want to thank you all for your patience. As you can tell, these are amazing students, and we really need to take time to recognize all of their accomplishments. So thank you for doing that with us. There is food behind us, boxed lunches to carry. I was asked to make sure you didn't clump up too much and create a super spreader event, but we haven't done that so far, which I'm pretty happy about. Again, can we just say congratulations to all of our graduates. And again, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, mentors, for all you've done, and for my stand-in mentors today as well. Take care. Get some lunch.
Give me a second, I need to get my story straight. My friends are in the bathroom getting higher than the Empire State. My lover, she's waiting for me just across the bar. My seat's been taken by some sunglasses, asking about a scar. And I know I gave it to you months ago. I know you're trying to forget, but between the drinks and subtle things, the holes in my apologies, you know, I'm trying hard to take it back. So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun.
Take advantage of that choo-choo back there for some photo ops, man. That is pretty cool.
So let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. Now I know that I'm not all that you got. I guess that I just thought maybe we could find new ways to fall apart. But our friends are back, so let's raise a toast. 'Cause I found someone to carry me home tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. Coming home tonight. Just coming home tonight. Coming home tonight. Just coming home tonight. The moon is on my side. I have no reason to run. So will someone come and carry me home tonight? The angels never arrive, but I can hear the choir. So will someone come and carry me home tonight? We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.